I don't know if I should call these videos coffee chats or what I want to do with them, but I got my camera on my desk now, and I feel like, you know what? I'm going to talk some more on YouTube a little bit and just give some philosophies on things, or maybe educate people, or just maybe give you some different perspective, especially as a guy who's bought a lot of gear. So there's a new thing in town. We've been creating a lot of chatter. It's called the Tonex pedal. Well, there's Tonex software. It's all by IK Multimedia. But you have a Kemper, you have a Quad Cortex, you have an Axe Effects, you have whatever it is. And then I see all this butthurt. They're like, hey, but this is so much better and blah, 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 blah. There's no way it's better than my Kemper and stuff. And hey, let's face it, technology changes all the time. Of course, something's going to come along that's better and whatnot. So I'm going to hear and talk about, you know, just my thoughts on having, you know, something like a Kemper and these things like the Tonex pedal coming around. Because honestly, I think something like Tonex showing up is pretty friggin' cool. And I also think it's pretty friggin' cool with what's out there with Axe Effects, Kemper, and all that stuff. So we'll talk more from the Kemper perspective today and about the Tonex. Let's face it, I have not used the Tonex pedal. I'd love to try it. So don't ever be surprised when something new comes along. And it's just like all of a sudden just blowing all this technology, maybe not quite out of the water, but the big difference between Tonex and Kemper is the price point, okay? At one point, you had to spend, you know, thousands of dollars. I spent a lot of money in my Kemper to buy this thing that can profile amplifiers and give you this amazing, you know, digital tone. It doesn't sound digital, you know. It's a few things. It's an old piece of technology. And now you got Tonex coming around, and it's like, I don't know, $300 US or something. It's in the 3 figures, not 4. And I think that's really amazing. Keep in mind, Kemper's a 12-year-old piece of technology, and now we have something in a little pedal. Now, you guys on the internet have been all butthurt and blah, 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 blah. Now, I don't know if the computer people are like this when some new piece of technology comes around that's better and cheaper. I think it's pretty cool. It's just inevitable. It's the way things are going. It's not going to change. It's just going to ramp up, you know? Look at cameras now. I spent a lot of money on a really nice camera, and now I'm using a much less expensive camera sitting here on my desk. It doesn't replace the old one, but you know, it's just perspective, okay? Half of you guys, you're not even profiling amplifiers, so why do you care how much better it's profiling something anyway? And now that's awesome that it is doing that better, but like somebody like me is not profiling amplifiers. I use my Kemper or I use plugins, one or the other. So I really don't care. I'm not surprised for a second if Tonex does a little bit better. All right, let's get on to our next point. The Kemper has been stellar over the years. They've had amazing support, okay? And on top of that, they've been updating that old unit forever. Now, I know it's an older interface and it's a little clunkier. Didn't have an editor when it came out, all that stuff. Now it has all that kind of stuff. There's a lot more support. They're even making something called liquid profiling. I don't really know what that is. That unit has a lot of power, so I'm gonna say, like, if you have a Kemper or you got a Quad Cortex, you got an Axe Effects, you don't need to, you know, get rid of it to get a Tonex pedal. Number 2 in that point there, if we want to go to another point, is that the Tonex is much more basic, and I think that's really cool because it's just like kind of bare bones. Like, here's our amps and stuff. It doesn't have the effects and maybe all the connections and stuff that maybe a Kemper or a Quad Cortex or something has. I like that bare bones thing. It makes it cheap. The barrier to entry is way cheaper. However, the Kemper has a whole bunch of effects and all things, and they add more to it all the time, and I think that is absolutely killer. That's why I'm not getting rid of mine. It still sounds absolutely fantastic. Mine has a power amp too. I can plug it into a cab. I can take it somewhere, plug it into a PA. That's all cool. They have a ton of features and stuff. But you know, if I was starting out and I didn't have that, like the Kemper or something, and I just wanted to run something here, you could, you know, get a little Tonex pedal, which would be absolutely killer. Run that in your interface, or, you know, you get a little power amp and then a cheap cab or something, and you'd be in business. You'd have to get some effects and whatnot. If you were just recording at home, you can get all that stuff in the computer and whatnot. So, you know, I love like the CLA plugins and stuff for some effects. It's absolutely killer, you know? So if you've got all that kind of stuff, you're all set. You've got all your things. You're good. This is fine. You don't have to worry about it. I've already kind of gone over this. The Tonex, awesome pedal. awesome piece of technology. All right, last and final point. No one cares about what your tone is in your music. They go to your show, they don't care if it's coming from a Line 6 spotter, a Marshall amp, a Kemper, an Axe-Fx. They don't give a crap. They care about your performance. Does it sound good? They can't tell those differences. Hell, your drummer doesn't care. Your singer doesn't care. If you're writing boring, crappy music, nobody cares. I mean, nobody's even listening to the music that I put out, okay? I use a Kemper to record all the guitars and all that stuff most of the time. And guess what? Nobody cares. You have to write compelling music. To them, it just has to sound good, or it just doesn't sound good. That's just how it is. On top of that, there's some of you out there that have things like a Quad Cortex, a Kemper, a Tonex, whatever, and you can't dial in crap. I know people who use much cheaper equipment, who are much more resourceful, who make tones that are absolutely mind-blowingly good. And they're not using any of this stuff, so nobody cares. That's the one thing, when you're buying all this gear, everything is set. In this, we have this like buyer's mindset. It's like always buy more, more, more. That's what we're always looking for. It's this more, more, more thing. But really, at the end of the day, get the best out of what you have now. If you can't do that, then start thinking about upgrades and doing all that stuff, because these pieces of technology are awesome. Modeling has been there for years at this point, and I'm really, I'm happy with what I have. And that's great for me. Like, the Kemper is awesome. I don't need the Tonex pedal. Would I like to get one? Absolutely. I'm sure I would absolutely love it. I think it's great. So, hey, if you're looking to get into something like this, barrier to entry is a whole lot less now. But, use what you have. And think with this, nobody cares. You're only showing off to other guitarists anyway. Everybody else doesn't care what you made your music with, So just, play your instruments. Write awesome music, learn to record, learn to write, learn how to dial something in, and, maybe like some basic mixing and mastering and stuff. That's going to help you a whole lot more. It's cool. Try to not spend a ton of money, but hey, Kemper is still cool. Axe-Fx is still cool. Tonex is cool. Just get it. It's enough rambling for me for today. So you guys all have an awesome day. Tell me what you think down below, and I will see you guys all in the next video. See yous.